Hello, Stina Red Soul. Sorry about that. I realized that I wasn't gonna work. All right, how y'all doing? And you can see it's subscribers mode. This is not going to be a very long live. I just put on my heart to do this during my lunch break. So if you like the video, it's going to be uploaded probably within the next few hours. So the reason I'm talking about this, and we all know about Putin. I've done commentary on him before. Again, it was a live stream, and there's a reason I only do the lives. Um, First off, with YouTube, you really have to be careful when you add either a thumbnail or a title in your videos. So that's why I didn't do the upload. Secondly, there's been rumors, and based on his speech, if you want to hear Putin's speech, Charlie Kirk played a few clips of it yesterday on his show. So you want to go back, I believe he's already live, but you want to go back to that show and listen to a speech, or you could just go to the Hill or anywhere, Yahoo News, and listen to his full speech. Then you're welcome to do so. I won't play any clips. I'll just be talking about a commentary of a few things that I've downloaded from today's news and speak commentary on it. What people usually tend to underestimate him, and I've also said this before. And you think the Ukraine is bad, it may get worse with him. So, number one, this is why he highly supports the administration we have. Um, and two, there is a reason why he's quite clever when he talks to anyone from the Western world. Now, from his speech, you thought he couldn't speak English. From his speech, he spoke enough. He used vocabulary that my students don't even know. So you'll be amazed. But here it goes. So it said Putin is no longer framing his flight as a special operation to liberate Ukraine. Okay? So they've had this situation for a quite some time. Um, the U.S. really has no problems with being allies with people. Uh, there was, thanks to wars in the U.S., slavery was abolished. The freedom of the people who were captive under Hitler's rule and Nazis. So the U.S. has stretched out quite a bit to try to earn allies in the world. But what Americans, some do, what some got their wake up call after September 11, but a lot of them do not understand that a lot of people don't like Americans. They think we're it's not on some type of jealous and envy problem, thinking that we are too what's the word I'm looking for, um, too arrogant. Um, Excuse me, based on our um, background in some Americans being in other countries, we expect, some of us anyway, the world to follow our exact customs, language, and uh, I guess be tolerant of American culture, and that's not the case in most parts of the world. Okay. So, what does this mean? He's now casting an extensive war against Western civilization. Now, you shouldn't be surprised that this is coming. Again, there is a reason why he embraces this administration. I believe they only have maybe over a year left. And it seems like he is urgent to act quickly. Not saying our guys won't put them down, but the last thing we need, excuse me, I always itch when I go on. I don't get this. Um, that this administration is on, and we got what we got is that he can take advantage of this opportunity, assuming that this administration was weak, because he was buddy buddy with when Trump was in office. He didn't dare think about any, not even with the Ukraine, he declared war. So this came closest to sort of the same, that it's them versus us. This is a journalist by the name of Daniel Gore. Okay, he's one of the defense experts from and senior vice president at the Lexington Institute. Okay, so he's reporting all of this. Okay, so for him to be the defense expert, okay, I'm not quoting Putin on what he's gonna do, but this is just his idea. I'm only reading in commentary what I have in front of me. That's why I got the paper here. Okay. So this expert continues. What does this mean? This means they plan to finish us once and for all. So in other words, they plan to grow a local conflict into global confrontation. So this is starting, you know, same as World War II, World War I, World War II, World War I, World War II. Well, mostly World War II was in regards to stirring up propaganda. Okay, so that's what World War II was all about. They started one rumor, pretty much what some people are saying about blaming people if it's one person or another. Okay, if it's not um, uh, a single mother's fault, it's the father's fault. Well, if he left the mother, yes, it's white supremacy fault. All of this is propaganda that they talk about, this rhetoric. Okay, so this is how we understand. He still quoted, and we will respond accordingly, because this represents an existential threat to our country. Okay, blaming Imperial America and its allies for starting the war despite supposed Russian efforts at peace. This gives Putin much needed political cover as he gears up for a long fight. The Russian leader set early expectations that his special operations would take a matter of days. He now needs to justify an all out war that has cost thousands of lives, isolated Russia internationally, and promises of months and years of actual pain. Okay, it continues. I'm kind of speeding up because of time. The case for sending Russian soldiers to die is much longer if Putin says, take a look. This is defending not just Russians in the Ukraine or even the Russian border. This is defending the culture. Okay? Putin the Russians against the pollution from the West. Could be a number of things. I don't think he's referring to the environment at this in this case. I believe he's talking about just Western civilization in general. Okay, so this is East and West, just like the Middle East would say the same thing about Western civilization being toxic. Putin also needs to explain why Russia's war is flailing. I guess they mean failing here. After a year in which Moscow's troops made early gains, but have been on a months long losing streak. Okay. So this is coming from a political science professor at the University of Toronto. He continues. So he's trying to explain that no, 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 we're fighting the entire West. That's why it's so difficult, a domestic narrative. Okay? Here's his reasons. Blaming the West, especially the US, for the war helps muddy the diplomatic waters. It might help convince some countries in Africa, Asia, Latin America to maintain a neutral stance rather than denouncing Russia's aggression, he added. Okay. Third page talks about it. And this is what this university professor of Toronto says about Putin's address yesterday, as largely rehashing all of some old grievances. Okay. And as a result, a post-Cold War agreement that has already been active or effective, rather, due to the Ukraine war. Okay. So right now, where it has been, I did have a student from the Ukraine when I worked in New York, and he's now currently residing in New Jersey, and he's doing very well. And yes, the people over there have been in my prayer. So I am familiar with some Ukrainian culture. The food is delicious. I've even had some of their sweets, so I can't remember the name. If you're from the Ukraine, it was like a white, creamy type of, which is what I described in my project with a colleague of mine. So if you're from the Ukraine, forgive me for mispronouncing that. Okay, you have a third party here, Leon Aaron, a Russian expert at the American Expertise Institute, said nuclear blackmail is the only tool Putin has left. um, Blackmail can be, uh, yeah, we all know blackmail is a form of manipulation, but as strong as Western civilization is, especially the U.S., as this professor put it, um, the U.S. is not won't deter. It will not deter nor compromise what Putin has to say. Now they'll probably talk and negotiate, and even when we had this, when there was the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, I think some troops are still there. With the war in Iraq, people talked about negotiation, and these are mostly civilians, of course. Negotiations and talking it out. Well, if you have an enemy and someone really wants to harm you violently, sometimes negotiation is not the answer. You have to defend yourself. And I know that would be my case if someone treats me harm. Thankfully, I haven't had been in a physical fight, and since I was a kid. But if it came to the point, well, personally, I'm not going to fight anybody. I'm just going to defend myself. And we have certain laws here in Texas where that protects my right. Okay. So this is Aaron continuing again. Essentially, he burned arms control. Why? He knows that he cannot sustain an indefinite longer war, and he has to end it one way or another. That is when I think the nuclear blackmail is going to be deployed. Okay. Okay. He wrote an article, National Review, stating, question, will Putin actually use a nuclear weapon? Or again, is he just bluffing, pretty much? Um, I hope he's not mad, Aaron responds. But certainly it makes it plausible, excuse me, that he would resort to one way or another. Kind of a very real nuclear blackmail. Okay. So he's not one to be underestimated with. Oh, good morning, Foggy Mountain Man. Okay. Yeah, thanks for joining. Um, then he includes, so far, he says, Putin's nuclear saber rattling has worked, with the U.S. and its Western allies engaging in what Cascap, okay, remember him? He was what was he? He was one of the defense experts, okay, about nuclear war. Okay, so it's called they call it self deterrence. So Putin's nuclear rattling within the U.S. and Westerners. Okay, so I'm guessing that's Europe and all the Western Europe, Latin America. Waiting months before providing lethal weapons out of fear of provoking him. Him meaning Putin. In addition, nuclear war weapons, including air defense systems, long missile range missiles, tanks, and all the whatnot. Probably no different than what he used with the Ukraine. Those, but in their case, they were in a bind. These poor people were in a situation. Some had to evacuate, especially the women and children. Then you had the real man that was able to stand up and fight to defend their homeland, and they're not gonna give up. So I'm proud of the Ukraine. In fact, we had there's and if you think this like the vodka situation won't affect Russia or anyone, it's gonna get much worse if he deters and he keeps up with this. Because honestly, the West, and I'm not just talking about the U.S. Globally, you gotta have your eyes open with this man because he's not foolish. When he when he's in an interview, you know he does a lot more listening than talking because he's and usually when people are quiet, even if they're whether they're sitting by themselves or people are doing most of their thinking. Okay, so who knows? Only Lord knows how long he had this planned in his head. Okay, so personally, I don't believe he's bluffing. The U.S. In particular is smart enough to keep their eyes open on him, but I believe Putin is satisfied with this administration because this is his way of getting prepared, as I've read over the last 20 minutes here. Okay, so in his address, okay, again, if you want to look at that, you have to get that find that on uh, online. Okay, because of due to I don't want to get flagged by YouTube by posting stuff. Okay, but in Putin's address, he boasted that Western sanctions were failing to cripple Russia's economy. I don't know how so, but that's it. Oh, with agricultural production up and unemployment down. He sent a message to business people who may still yearn for a comfortable place abroad. Another option, stay with your motherland. Work for your compadres. Not only to open new businesses, but also change your life around in cities, towns, and throughout your country. Okay? Then Biden, during his address, he says this was a Tuesday. I don't know if it was like I don't watch his addresses. I don't. And I maybe that's a shame. I don't know. I don't watch Biden when he's talking. But he states this is what it says: promising to stand with Ukraine until the end. Putin sends his own message of undying commitment to fight. So that's what this is really about. Because he never had a beef with the U.S. before. But now that the U.S. are allies with Ukraine, Putin doesn't like that. This is seriously a man that's about power. Okay, so here's the defense expert again, Cass Camp. Forgive my pronunciation. His game plan has always been that he thinks that he can outcast the West. Well, you really can't blame him. But yeah, in short, yeah, we have what to expect in second year of. Okay, so this is the second year of Russia and the Ukraine. Okay, you can read more on the Hill, one of these experts, and then the National Review, if you're more into that. But everything is online now. Most people don't buy magazines and books anymore. Okay, um, but speaking of the National Review, this guy from the University of Toronto says he believed the Biden administration was coming around to similar thinking that Russia has to lose and has to lose big. All right. Hey, personally, I don't have problems with the Russians because their government and their position on religion, and since after being a communist country, I thought things were, I guess as most of the world, things were settled and all right, but um, we just got to keep in prayer and keep our eyes open as a nation, and hopefully our Western allies like the Ukraine, France, the whole Western Europe, and keep their eyes open right now because I don't believe he's joking again. Um, does the Russian people believe? Do the Russian people agree with Putin's mindset in politics? Some do, some don't. And I've talking to students and I've that I've taught in the past. Now I had a group of kids that were Russian, like 17, 18 years old. I didn't bother with them about politics, but like older ones, I didn't mention Putin in their opinion, and so far the ones I've met don't care for him. But that's only a small percentage, okay? I'm not saying this nation shouldn't support um, its president, okay? So um, that's all I have for this live. This is a short one, but this is just some news I want to bring. So I got 3 lights and 1 looking. About to end this stream. So as I've always said, when I close, Christina Red Soul, pray for our nation, our brothers and sisters under the persecuted church, and the outcome. Hopefully, this won't be a third war, because that's when the Lord Jesus will probably let us know this is the end. Okay. And as I've usually been saying, the Lord bless you, the Lord keep you, and may His light shine upon you. And I'll talk to you as soon as I can.